Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another video. So, in today's video, we're going to be looking at the top 5 leagues today and looking at the top 5 youngsters from each league. So I thought this would kind of make sense. Shout out to Kian, who commented this suggestion, and I thought it was a good idea, as you know, it's the top 5 leagues. Why not I do the top 5 youngsters from each league in order from 1 to 5, and then what we're going to do at the end is we're actually going to rank all of the names I've listed, so all 25, in order from 1 to 25, and decide who is the best Wonderkid in the top 5 leagues, and also maybe we can decide here which league has the best Wonderkids, so I guess it can give us a little idea as to maybe in the future which league is going to become amazing and have all the best players and stuff like that. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go through each league. I'll tell you a bit about the players and tell you why I've put them in certain positions. Now, there's a couple of rules and stuff like that. So we'll do some honourable mentions for each league as well. I've also ranked them in terms of sort of current ability. It's not necessarily in terms of potential. It's in terms of right now, their ability, how good is it. I've also capped it as a maximum of 2 players can be chosen from the same team, just so we get a little bit of variety in some of the leagues, because some of the leagues, just a couple clubs have most for Wonderkids. And I've also said no loan players, so it's players who are actually going to be in that league, and in order to qualify as a youngster you need to be 21 or under at the time of me recording this. Okay, so those are the rules, pretty simple, and once again thank you Kian for the suggestion, and any suggestions you guys have, put them in the comments. In fact, if you guys do enjoy this, maybe we could do one where we do the top 5 youngsters outside the top 5 leagues, so then we can sort of compare, do the top 5 leagues actually have the best talents, or is that just a myth? Anyway, let's begin in no particular order. We'll start in La Liga, and number 5 in La Liga is Nico Williams of Atletico Bilbao. Nico Williams, who only recently turned 21, has already played 85 games for Bilbao in all competitions, scoring 12 and providing 5 assists. He made his debut for Spain in September 2022 against Switzerland and already has 8 caps to his name, in which he has managed 1 goal and 1 assist, as well as a World Cup starting spot. So we're starting off pretty strong here. Last season, he was one of only 3 players under the age of 21 to score at least 5 goals in La Liga. He scored 6 goals in 36 games, with the only other 2 players on the list were Barcelona stars Ansu Fati and Pedri. So Nico Williams is a player who has a lot of potential, and his greatest strengths are his speed and dribbling. His directness is highlighted in the fact that only Vinicius Jr. attempted and completed more dribbles than Williams in La Liga last season. Across the top 5 leagues, Williams ranked 4th for dribbles completed, behind only Vinicius Jr., Lionel Messi and Jeremy Doku. He's a versatile attacker who can play on both the right wing and the left wing, and he was linked with a move away in the the summer, with his contract expiring next summer, but he stayed and could be set for a major campaign. Alright, number 4, we have Eduardo Camavinga for Real Madrid. Now, it's a dream for most to be playing for Real Madrid and France when you're 20 years old, but that's Eduardo Camavinga's reality. The midfielder probably deserves more minutes than he gets right now. However, he is the long-term replacement for the likes of Luka Modric, Toni Kroos, and he was the replacement really for the departed Casemiro in that Madrid team. Camavinga is a strong presence in the middle of the park, and he's got the technical ability to get out of tight spaces. He's a future superstar who has already won the Champions League, La Liga, Super Cup, Spanish Cup, got to a World Cup final, which is pretty crazy considering he's only 20. Now, I'll get into why I've ranked him at 4. Some people might have him higher. I'll just compare him to the other guys, but to be fair, I do think in terms of technical ability, he is fantastic. He can play as a DM, a bit more advanced. He can even play as a left back, and he looks fantastic and so composed in all of these positions. And you know, when he's playing in the World Cup, when he's playing in big Champions League games, he seems completely unfazed. I don't know what it is. He's just got ice in his veins, it seems. He's just so nonchalant, and it's lovely watching Camavinga. Number 3, we have Gavi for Barcelona. The Spain international, who has 21 caps for his country, has already made 100 appearances for Barcelona. And all that experience, when you consider he's just 19, is insane. Gavi has qualities of Barcelona legends Xavi and Iniesta, and he's now lighting up the new camp. He mostly plays as a centre mid, and he chips in with his defensive work a lot, whilst also being silky and decisive on the ball. He and somebody else on this list, spoiler, will be the future of a Barcelona team. In fact, they already are the heartbeat of that team. Now, the reason I put Gavi above Camavinga is simply because Gavi has proven himself, I would say, a little bit more. In terms of Gavi has been a consistent starter for an entire season at Barcelona, whereas Camavinga hasn't really. He's been in and out of the Real Madrid side, not due to his fault, just because that midfield is very stacked, and when he has played consistently last season, you know, he was moving all over the place at left back at points, so that's why I think Gavi at this stage is probably better, although I do feel Camavinga has a higher potential. Number 2, Pedri, Barcelona. In second place is Barcelona's Pedri. The Spain international, like Gavi, has been compared to Xavi and Iniesta, and was the guy I was mentioning. Pedri is a hybrid of those Barcelona icons, and he can play as a normal number 8 or as a number 10, or even out wide if needed. Barcelona play better when their play goes through Pedri, and the 20-year-old has already scooped some prestigious individual honours, including Euro's Young Player of the Tournament, Golden Boy Award, being named in the La Liga Team of the Season, and winning La Liga. He's already arguably Barcelona's best player, which is mental at the age of 20, and he's going to have a big future. And number 1 is Jude Bellingham of Real Madrid. Who else but England's next superstar, Jude Bellingham. Midfielder became Birmingham City's youngest ever first-team player at 16, before moving to Dortmund, and since then it's been a pretty blockbuster few years, and he is now dominating La Liga, the Champions League, and on the international stage for England. He scored for England at the World Cup, and well, we all know how amazing he started off life at Real Madrid. I think that's the main reason I've put him above Pedri. I feel that last season, Bellingham for me at Dortmund was probably better than Pedri. Pedri's, suffered with a couple injuries as well last season, and then this season the way Bellingham has started and just fitted into that Real Madrid team, for me I just think that Bellingham is slightly better, although it is very close between Bellingham and Pedri. Alright, honourable mentions. We have Jeremy Pino of Villarreal, Arda Güler of Real Madrid, Alejandro Balde of Barcelona, Anu Martinez of Girona, and Lamine Yamal of Barcelona. Let's move on to the Bundesliga. So, in at number 5 in the Bundesliga is Benjamin Sesko of RB Leipzig. Now, the next Haaland is a bit of a lazy tag that's been placed on Sesko, and while he probably won't be Haaland, Sesko still has a massive future. Sesko joined Red Bull Salzburg at age 16, and he lit up the team and went on to win 3 Austrian Bundesliga titles and 1 Austrian Cup with them. He also became the youngest ever player for the senior Slovenian national team at the age of 18, and he is Slovenia's youngest ever goal scorer. Many big clubs wanted him, with the likes of United very keen when he was at Salzburg, but he moved to Salzburg's sister club RB Leipzig, and now he's starting in the Bundesliga up front for a very exciting team, and has already started the season pretty well. Now I've put him a bit lower as this is his first season in a top 5 league, so we need to see how he does, but I wouldn't be shocked if in a few years we see Sesko leave with some major money, to be honest. Number 4, Youssoufa Moukoko, Borussia Dortmund. Next up is Youssoufa Moukoko of Dortmund. The 18-year-old burst onto the scene when he was just 13, impressing in the under-17 Bundesliga. Yeah, I said under-17 at the age of 13. That's how talented he is. Moukoko ended up scoring an absolute mind-blowing 141 times in just 88 games for Dortmund's under-17 and 19 sides, and he's already netted 12 for the senior side. The forward is already a regular member of the Dortmund side and was called up to the World Cup squad for the German national team, and he became the youngest German player ever to feature in the World Cup. He is truly seen as a future number 9 for Germany, the next Gerd Müller, Miroslav Klose. Germany have their hopes pinned on this kid, and in terms of ceiling, he's probably the highest in the Bundesliga. However, he's just, due to him being so young, still not a regular starter, similar sort of thing to Camavinga in a way, so that's why I can't rank him higher. Number 3, I don't know why I said it like that, Piero Hincapié by Leverkusen. Having arrived for just 7 million from Argentina in 2021, Piero Hincapié has now established himself as a first-choice central defender for Xabi Alonso's scintillating Bayer Leverkusen. While initially being deployed as a left-back in the beginning of his Leverkusen career, he's made central defence his home and has thrived in the process. His progression resulted in a flurry of transfer rumours last summer, featuring such potential suitors as Tottenham, Newcastle and Liverpool, after a very impressive season last year. The club retained its Ecuadorian star, and Hincapié, who played for Ecuador at the World Cup, is currently injured now, but when he is back, I'm sure he will continue to be a regular for Xabi Alonso's side, and it's only a matter of time before he gets a big move. Number 2, Florian Wirtz by Leverkusen. Now, if you watch the Bundesliga, then Florian Wirtz will not be a new name on your radar. 20-year-old attacking mid is one of the great hopes of German football after making his competitive debut at the age of just 17. And that knack for making late runs into the box, and an expert dribbler, Wirtz was almost destined for big money move in 2021 after putting up 17 goal contributions at the age of just 18. But he got a very serious knee injury. But what has impressed me and made me more certain he will be the real deal and no sort of Kai Havertz is the way he's bounced back from that injury and picked up exactly where he left off. In fact, Wirtz looks even better right now, and a mega money transfer definitely is on the cards. Now, the honourable mentions before we get into number 1 is Jamie Bino-Gittins, Xavi Simons, who definitely would have been on there but no loan players, Castello Lucabe, Matthias Tell, Nelson Viper and Gio Reyna. But number 1 goes to Jamal Musiala of Bayern Munich. Now, Musiala has already made over 90 Bundesliga appearances for one of the biggest clubs in the world, and he's only 20, which is crazy. He's also scored 23 times in those games. It's also worth noting he's already won the Bundesliga and the German Cup 3 times, as well as having a Champions League and Super Cup winners medal. Musiala can do a job out wide, but he's honestly one of the best number 10s in the world. He has the ability to find space in between the lines, and at age 20, he's already written into Bayern history, having scored the winning goal on the final day last season to win Bayern the Bundesliga ahead of Dortmund. And this is just the start. I'm sure we'll have plenty more big moments. Okay, let's go to the Premier League now. In at number 5, we have Evan Ferguson of Brighton. Now, this is a kid who could potentially be up there with the number 1s on this list soon. I'm sure he will be, but for now, Ferguson comes in at number 5. Now, Ferguson kind of broke out of nowhere last season for Brighton as De Zerbi came in, gave this kid a chance, and, well, he definitely took it. At the age of just 17, he grabbed 6 Premier League goals for Brighton, and this season has started like a house on fire, already grabbing his first Premier League hat-trick, and has 4 goals in 4 games just aged 18. It's not just his goals which catch the eye, it's his overall play. For an 18-year-old, he's absolutely huge and so strong. Like, he can literally bully most defenders in the league, and they're grown men. He's got great technical ability, hold-up play, can drop deep, running behind. He's honestly got it all. He's only at number 5 as he still has a bit to prove in terms of being a consistent starter for a whole season compared to the others on this list. However, I'm sure Ferguson, if he keeps going like this, will generally become one of the best strikers in the world. Number 4, Michael Olise, Crystal Palace. With Zaha off to Galatasaray, Crystal Palace attack now belongs to Michael Olise. Now, Olise can play on both flanks and has wonderful skill with the ball at his feet. His best goal, however, I think, is his set-piece danger from both corners and free kicks. There's little doubt he'll be involved with their senior national team in the future, considering he's eligible to play for England, France, Nigeria and Algeria. He was on the verge of moving to Chelsea this summer, but for whatever reason, the move never materialised. And to be honest, that probably was a good move for Olise, as he can now develop his game even more at Palace, and as I said, with Zaha gone, Olise is now going to step up even more. Last season, he was fantastic, super creative on that right hand side for Palace, and if he keeps going like this, I mean, the big clubs are already wanting him. They're going to be paying the big bucks for him very soon. Number 3, Moises Caicedo, Chelsea. Moises Caicedo, still just 21, has developed into one of the top DMs in the Premier League. And not to mention, he is the most expensive player in the Premier League history, so I think just based on that alone, he has to make this list. Although he's not making number 2 or 1 yet, though, as we'll get onto them, but they have proven themselves at the top level more than Caicedo, who still needs to prove he can cut it at that elite level at a club like Chelsea. But I'm sure he'll come good, and of course is an incredible player. You don't really need me to tell you about that. Number 2 is Josko Gvardiol, Manchester City. So this was what I was on about here. He's proven himself at the top level. Gvardiol is exceptional defender. We all saw it. As I mentioned, he's proven himself at the top level, being a star of the Croatia side at the 2022 World Cup, who made third place, with Gvardiol scoring in the third place match. He's been a starter for his country at the Euros and the World Cup, and played in the Champions League for Leipzig. He's now the most expensive defender of all time. Gvardiol has to make the top 2. He does miss out on number 1 though, because, number 1 has to be Bukayo Saka of Arsenal. It's really incredible to think that the Arsenal winger is still just 21, having established himself as a true Premier League and European superstar already. The winner of the PFA Young Player Award last year, he'll probably be a shoo-in this year as well. He had an absolutely sensational season last year, becoming Arsenal's main man, and he is going to be the leader of that Arsenal team for years to come. Now, honourable mentions, we have Levi Colwill, Romeo Lavia, Alejandro Garnacho, Malo Gusto, Rasmus Højlund, Julio Enciso, and many others, but those are the 5 we've gone for in the Prem. Okay, Ligue 1 now. So number 5 in Ligue 1 is Agelan Tloufet of Lens. Now right now there's a real lack of top left backs in the world, but one who could be emerging very soon is Tloufet. At age 18 he made his Champions League debut, and he represented the French national team at just 20 years old. And France have produced a plethora of modern fullbacks of late, so to get that call up at 20, that says something about his talent. In terms of going forward, he's up there with the best left backs in Europe, grabbing 6 assists from fullback last season. Defensively, he's very solid as well, and already a lot of Prem clubs have been trying to get him, but they failed, and Tloufet signed a new contract in the summer, which is probably a good move as he can continue his fantastic development for Rennes, but I expect this kid to be playing at the top level very, very soon. Number 4 is Lehan Cherki. Now, Cherki's name has been talked about within France for quite some time. Some have even mentioned him as the best prospect to come through Lyon's academy since Benzema. Now, part of that stemmed from him getting his first taste of action when he was just 15 years old. Despite this, his playing time has been limited over the years until last season, where it finally seems like he is living up to his potential. He got 10 goal contributions and played 34 games last season, first time he's really been a true starter in the Lyon side. Cherki is almost a throwback number 10 the way he plays. He's constantly scanning his surroundings, finding those pockets, and his touch can look almost effortless at points. In terms of raw ability, Cherki may be one of the best on this entire video, and it was a bit of a surprise to see him stay at Lyon this season, but if he has another great season, I'm sure next year big clubs will be coming in for him. He's not ranked any higher though, just because he has only had about 1 season of being a regular starter. Number 3, Bradley Barcolo, PSG. Now, no side across the top 5 European leagues handed more minutes to players aged under 21 than Lyon last year. So we've got another Lyon boy here, and the jewel amongst that was Bradley Barcolo. Despite only playing the equivalent of 16 full matches, the Frenchman had a hand in 13 goals last season. Those 13 goal involvements were surpassed by just 2 players aged under 21 across the top 5 European leagues. With a goal involvement in the league every 110 minutes, that's a rate surpassed players such as Kavicha Kvaratskhelia and Bukayo Saka. He is truly an exceptional talent. 3 of his assists came in a single game, with a hat-trick of goals created in the 5-4 victory over Montpellier, and he became the youngest player on record in Ligue to assist as many as 3 goals in a match. The only other player to do that was Neymar last season. This sensational breakout season earned him a move to PSG, where I really hope he can get some minutes to prove what a great talent he is, and he doesn't just sit on the bench, because he is truly exceptional. Number 2 is Eli Wai. Now, I mentioned that only 2 players under the age of 21 got more goal involvements than Barcola last season, but one of them was Musiala and the other was Eli Wai. Now, it wouldn't be fair to call last season a breakout campaign for Eli Wai, given he had already found the net 10 times a year earlier. What is no doubt, though, is the brilliant 20-year-old's rapid progression become one of the hottest young properties in football. The Frenchman found regular game time last season, and he really established himself as a future France number 9. He found the net 19 times, a return which highlights the potential of a player who has the world literally at his feet. Chelsea were very keen on him, but in the end, he moved to French side Lens, who are playing in the Champions League this season in Arsenal's group. So if you've never seen Wai play or not really heard of his name, I'm sure you'll get to see his incredible ability very, very soon. Now, honourable mentions before we go into the number 1 is Warren Zali Emery, Arnaud Calamuendo, Hugo Ekitike, Joris Schulted, Desire Dowie, and Andy Diouf. But number 1 has to be Nuno Mendes. Pretty easy number 1. I mentioned there was a lack of top left backs in the world right now. Well, Liga has 2 of the best up and coming ones. In fact, one of the best in the world right now in Nuno Mendes. So good going forward. Mendes has established himself as a regular for PSG. He's played at the World Cup and Euros for the Portuguese national team, and last season he was named in the Liga Team of the Season for the 2nd season in a row and voted Young Player of the Year. So based purely on that, it has to be him at number 1. Alright, finally Serie A then. So number 5 we have Nicola Ravella of Lazio. Now, despite being recognised as one of the best midfield talents in Serie A, Ravella never had the opportunity to showcase his skills in Juventus colours, and could be one that Juventus regret letting go of. The 21-year-old began his career with Genoa and made his senior debut in 2019. Since 2021, Ravella has been on Juventus' books, joining for a massive 18 million for a 19-year-old. That's huge. He was seen as the future of Juve midfield, and with his style of play as a deep-line playmaker, sort of register, the next Pirlo by many. But as I said, he was never given a chance at Juve, sent on loans, and in the most recent campaign was sent on loan to Monza, where he made 27 appearances and looked very good. It was thought he would return to the Juve side this year, but they decided to cash in on him, a decision which angered Juve fans, and Lazio snapped him up. Now it remains to be seen if Ravella will succeed at Lazio and live up to his potential, but Ravella is definitely a top midfielder with huge ability, and I think it's one who could potentially turn into a star. It's just, we need to see him at that top level right now. Number 4, Fabio Miletti, Juventus. Another Italian youngster on the list is Fabio Miletti, and this time he actually did get a chance at Juve and is still with them. Miletti has already made his Champions League and Serie A debut for Juve, and that's indicative of how much faith they have in his ability. He is the 2nd youngest Juventus player to be a starter in the UEFA competition, and last season established himself as a regular member of the side, aged just 20, racking up 40 appearances in all competition. He also received his first cap for the Italian national team, and Moretti is really seen as the future of that Juventus midfield. Number 3 is Nikola Zalewski. So Zalewski has played for Roma's senior team since 2020 and actually made his debut in Europa League semi-final against Man United, which is pretty crazy. Since those early chances, Zalewski has transformed into one of the crown jewels of Roma's academy. At only 21, Zalewski has already made 50 Serie A appearances and 20 in European competition. He's also become a mainstay of his national team Poland, making 12 appearances and becoming one of their youngest squad members for the 2022 World Cup. While he came into Roma's senior team hyped as an attacking midfielder or winger, Mourinho has been playing him as an attacking wing-back. And this shows Zalewski's tactical intelligence to be able to adapt a position very different to his usual one and make it his own. The fact that Zalewski is only 21 and already considered a serious part of Roma's senior squad is a testament to his present ability and future potential. And considering Mourinho's track record of, not really giving youth players a chance, the fact that Zalewski's been given a chance and trusted a lot tells you all you need to know. And, he was nominated for the Golden Boy Award last year, so I think he's a pretty good player. Alright, number 2 is Giorgio Scalvini, Atalanta. Elegant and technically sound, Scalvini checks off most of the criteria necessary to thrive as a modern-day centre-back. He's a capable defender who can read the game very, very well, and he's absolutely huge, by the way. He's so tall, yet so fast as well, and has played for Italy at every level, including senior level. He came up through Atalanta's famous youth system before making his way to the first team 2 years ago. Since he first appeared, he has played over 50 games for the club. He's been likened to Bastoni by many and linked with all the big boys in Italy. And we know Atalanta are known to sell players for huge fees like Rasmus Højlund, so I'm expecting this kid to be the next player to leave for huge money. And he's already established himself as one of the better centre-backs in Serie A. Alright, honourable mentions, we've got Iling Jr., Josh Doig and Eduardo Bove. But number 1 is Lazar Samadžić of Udinese. Samadžić arrived at Juve in the summer of 2021 as something of an unknown. German had played just 10 games in total, but has already built a reputation of a noteworthy midfielder. Now, in his first season, after adapting, he registered 2 goals and 2 assists, which was okay, but in the next season, last year, that was where he really exploded and where you probably heard that he was on the verge of joining Inter Milan in the summer, as he was involved in 9 league goals. The Udinese man was the youngest midfielder to score 5 or more goals in the Serie A last term, and the 3rd youngest overall. He's particularly dangerous shooting from distance, scoring 4 goals from outside the box last season, a joint high in Europe's top 5 leagues. He loves to shoot from range, and he's absolutely brilliant at working self-shooting opportunities. Samadžić played a key role for Udinese last season, with only the goalkeeper playing more Serie A games than Samadžić. He's well and truly the heartbeat of that Udinese side. I'm sure he will finally get his move either next summer or even in January. Alright, so now we've gone through all of them. Very briefly, I'm just going to give you my 1 to 25 in order now of where I rank each of these guys. So, 25, I have Nicola Ravella. 24, I have Evan Ferguson. 23, Benjamin Sesko. 22, Youssef Makoko. 21, Fabio Miretti. 20, Agelin Schlufeld. 19, Nicolas Zalewski. 18, Ryan Shirky. 17, Pierre Hincapié. 16, Giorgio Scalvini. 15, Lazar Samadzic. 14, Michael Elise. 13, Bradley Barcolo. 12, Nico Williams. Number 11, Ellie Wai. And then the top 10, this is top 10 I'm just looking at, it's insane, honestly, the amount of talent here. Alright, so 10 is Moises Caicedo. Number 9 is Florian Wirtz. Number 8, Eduardo Camavinga. Number 7 is Gavi. Number 6 is Nuno Mendes. Number 5 is Josko Gvardiol. Number 4, Jamal Musiala. Number 3, Bukayo Saka. Number 2, Pedri. And number 1, the best youngster in Europe's top 5 leagues, has to be Jude Bellingham for me. So yeah, that's my 1 to 25. If you want me to like justify any of those, or you want to like debate any of those seriously, just pop it in the comments. Or if you think maybe I missed out some youngsters potentially in this list, or maybe I ranked some of them too low or too high, let me know. I'm open to the discussions as always. But if you have enjoyed this one, then please do leave a like, consider subscribing, and I'll see you in another video.